today's video is all about habits to de-stress your life. Whether it's from work or school or the clutter that we're dealing with, demands, family, life, it's really tough sometimes to achieve the balance that we want, and we may find ourselves feeling stressed out. I have gone through different phases of life that have been a lot more stressful, and from going through that, it's really taught me a lot of things that I can do and actions that I can take to help me live a much more simple and intentional life without struggling from stress. And I want to share 18 of these strategies with you today in the video. I'm hopeful you'll find a few new habits or ideas that you could add into your daily life to help you live much more simply and stress-free. The first habit to de-stress is to clear the physical clutter in your environment. Perhaps you've heard the saying, cluttered space or cluttered surface, cluttered mind. If we've got a lot of physical clutter in our space, it can lead us to feel stressed out. So if there are any surfaces that you could tidy up and keep clean, it's going to help ensure more peace of mind. Now, if you've got a lot of decluttering to do, it doesn't mean you have to rush into decluttering every single thing, but start with some easier surfaces such as a coffee table or kitchen table, a kitchen counter, and focus on gradually opening some of these spaces up so they are clutter-free and very peaceful to look at. My second strategy to de-stress has been so crucial to me since I first learned about it back when I was working one of my jobs in college. And it's an essential mindset. And the mindset is, if you're dealing with something very stressful, but there's nothing that you can actually do about it, imagine yourself putting it into a bubble and blowing it away. It might seem sort of silly up front, but if you really visualize yourself kind of taking that problem, taking that stress, putting it in a bubble and blowing it away, the wind just carries it away and it's not something that you need to deal with. It especially helps you realize that after a certain point, things are no longer in your control. So if there are heavy things you're dealing with or struggling with that are causing stress, this could be a good option. Habit number 3 is practicing good hygiene. Now, this doesn't mean you have to indulge in fancy spa products or have to necessarily, quote unquote, treat yourself to be able to practice this self-care, but really having a mindful experience while you're showering or taking a bath, while you're using your everyday products. Just really prevent your mind from racing ahead and try to be in the moment as you practice this hygiene. Habit number 4 is to read, and likely read an actual book. Our devices are amazing, and there's certainly a lot of things that you can read on your device, but there's also a lot of other distractors and things that can elevate our stress levels. But if we allow ourselves to sit back with an actual book and kind of take it slow and immerse ourselves in the words on the page, it can help us feel a lot more calm, as well as could lead to a lot of enjoyment depending on what you're reading. Related to that strategy, habit number 5 is to unplug. It's no secret many of us live very digital lives or very connected lives, and while it doesn't have to be anything drastic, taking some moments to unplug can really help. I often find myself spending more than 10 hours a day on my computer, and that's a lot of time spent plugged in. So I make sure I take mindful breaks where I am not connected to any device and I am just being in the moment. And that can help keep stress levels low. Perhaps one activity you can do while you're unplugged is number 6, which is a brain dump. If you ever feel like your mind is just swirling with ideas and you're struggling to keep track of everything, I love taking a chance to just release anything that's on my mind on paper. It can very much be stream of consciousness style. You don't need a fancy notebook or anything to do this, just any sort of paper, even scratch paper. But the power of getting that all out of your head and onto, the surface can be so helpful. Since I often feel like I have so many ideas racing around my head, I find it helpful to keep paper and a pen on my nightstand. So if I have these ideas and they're preventing me from falling asleep, I can write them down and not worry about, will I forget this, or what will happen if I don't take action on this. Habit number 7 to help prevent stress is to nourish your body. And of course, there's so many different ways of eating and so many different diets out there, but finding what feels genuinely good to you, not necessarily what feels the best to your taste buds all the time, but finding foods that make you feel the best. This also includes liquid, like making sure you're drinking enough water. Finding these sort of wholesome meals and snacks are going to help you feel much better and more in control than if you were to have chips or sweets or other more snacking foods, which are definitely delicious, but are not going to lead you to feel very good afterwards. Habit number 8 is to prepare slow food. Certainly, there are many benefits to things like meal prep, where you are making large quantities of food in a pretty quick manner and packing that up so you don't have to cook later on. And I know cooking for some can be kind of a chore, but there's also something incredibly therapeutic about the cooking process, whether it's chopping vegetables or sauteing something, the different smells and aromas and the journey that cooking a meal can take. For me, cooking leads to a lot of enjoyment and really thinking about the love and care and time and effort that can go into every step along the process of making a really nice dish, and then being able to perhaps share it with others can be a really fulfilling way to really be in the moment and can also help reduce our stress levels. Habit number 9 is to use sound or silence. This one kind of depends on your preference. There's definitely many different healing sounds and beautiful sounds that can be calming to listen to. Simple searches on YouTube even can give you some suggestions, such as stress-relieving music or calming music. But silence can also be a powerful tool. If we often find ourselves listening to music or being around many different sounds, perhaps taking some intentional time for quiet and not needing to be, entertained is a way that we can really calm down and really focus on whatever it is that we wish to. Habit number 10 is to get outside. Nature is certainly vast and powerful, and I know anytime that I'm not feeling great, if I do spend some time outside, even if the weather is not great and I can just go out for a few moments, it makes me feel so much better. And it also reminds me just kind of how small I am and how small my problems or stressors are in the big picture. And I just am in awe of the power of nature and this world we live in. And remembering that does actually calm me down, as well as breathing in the fresh air, getting some sun. That can also help us feel very calm and takes us out of maybe the bubble that sometimes we're trapped in, if it's a bubble, if it's an intense time at work or whatever else is happening. Habit number 11 is to stretch or exercise. Exercise has so many benefits, and even if it's something small, if there's some small way you can move your body, that's going to also help you feel better. And you might even be able to combine this with being outside. Hands down, one of my favorite things is to go for a walk with my husband, Jake. And it's simple. It's definitely not the most cardiovascular task I could be doing, but it feels good. It's a way for us to connect, and we get to be outside, enjoying the day. And it's something that I really look forward to every day. If there's something you can do, even if it's just some simple stretches around your space, moving your body can, again, help you relieve that stress and get out of that funk that you might be in. Strategy number 12 is to focus on a big picture perspective. Ask yourself, in the big scheme of things, or when I'm 100 years old, Will this experience actually matter? Does this task actually matter in the big picture? Is this something that's life or death? When we really question it from that big picture mindset or that big picture mentality, many of our everyday stressors don't actually matter. Maybe we're concerned about meeting a deadline. Maybe we're concerned about something that is a short-term issue. Most likely, it will all work out, life will go on, and we will move on or we'll grow from these experiences, and we'll make it through. Sometimes just knowing this can help us, even thinking about our own persistence, how we've accomplished so much already. And if we have accomplished so much already, of course we can face this challenge. Of course we can accomplish this. Strategy number 13 is to practice positive affirmations. Unfortunately, sometimes our self-talk can be pretty negative. Many of us insult ourselves and do not speak highly of ourselves to ourselves. But would you speak to another person the same way you speak to yourself? Would you tell them that they're ugly or that they're worthless or they're not good enough? Chances are you wouldn't, because you're not a terrible person. So why do you say those hurtful things to yourself? Let's shift our self-talk into much more positive statements. You are good enough. You are beautiful. You are talented. You are loved and lovable. If we remember these positive affirmations, it will also allow you to get through these stressful situations even more. Habit number 14 is to create art. Now, there's definitely many different types of art, and perhaps the creation process can often be stressful. But if there are simple ways that are mindless, but also can be mindful and very calming methods of art that we can get a lot of enjoyment out of without having to necessarily put too much effort into the actual creation process, that can be very helpful in relieving stress. And actually, to kind of combine these last two strategies, one of my friends and fellow YouTubers, Stuart Carter, he runs the channel Simply Mindfulness. He actually put together a really cool coloring book with some life-affirming meditations for mindful coloring. And I do find that using these and coloring in some of these different affirmation images that he has is a really powerful process. And actually, as soon as I discovered that he had made this, I asked him if he could make a digital version since it was originally just in print, and he said he could. I will put the link below if you're interested in checking it out, but he was so kind to also give a discount code if you'd like to get $2 off the book itself. But I find this to be a really soothing process. You don't have to be talented at art or have fancy art supplies to be able to get some of the benefits of this. Habit number 15 to reduce stress is to talk to people or connect with others. There is a Swedish proverb that I really like that says, "Shared joy is double joy, shared sorrow is half a sorrow." Although sometimes we might want to keep certain things to ourselves, sharing our struggles or our victories with others can help us feel better and really reduce the pain that we're experiencing. So many times we think we might not be able to share struggles with others, but that can be exactly what helps us feel a lot better. Being vulnerable to share our situation or our story with others, I think can actually give us a lot of strength, and it helps you take power back over whatever your struggle is. Habit number 16 to help reduce stress can be to use scents, such as with a candle or essential oil. I know personally I do typically choose essential oils. I'm not as much of a candle person, but I think it's very similar. Having a really calming or relaxing scent, such as using lavender or eucalyptus, for instance, for essential oils, it can create a really healthy atmosphere for you in your home and make your home feel more like a refuge. Habit number 17 is to say no to something if possible, or even cancel one of your commitments. It's very easy to be in a culture where we say yes to too much, or we are worried that we're going to upset someone else. But if we don't take care of ourselves, and if we are feeling the burden of that, there's no shame in saying, you know what, enough is enough, I can't do it, and I'm going to say yes to myself. When we say yes to something, we say no to something else. When we say no to something, we're saying yes to something else. Maybe you're saying no to that particular event or gathering, but you're saying yes to taking care of yourself or doing what you need to feel your best. And there's no shame in that. And lastly, number 18 is to remember what you are grateful for. In everyday life, we can be frustrated by little things, but in the midst of that pain and struggle, if we remember what we are grateful for, it immediately shifts our perspective. It helps us realize that maybe our challenges and everyday struggles are not really that big of a deal in the big picture, because how lucky are we to be able to live where we do, or have people who care about us in our lives, or to be able to have a job that is meaningful. Whatever the category is, it will be different for everyone, but finding those things that matter the most to you, and to remember, no matter what else is going on, I'm so thankful that, and whatever it is that you're grateful for. Some people might find it helpful to jot these down. Maybe you keep track of a couple every day, but it really can transform your perspective. I hope these 18 habits and strategies will be helpful for you to reduce stress over the upcoming months. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, we'd love to have you here at Abundantly Minimal, and you can check out related videos here on the screen. We'll see you next time. Bye.